It's hard for me to pick out a single story, um, but to me, turkey hunting is something that's more than an 11-inch beard, inch and a half spurs, and a pretty fan hanging on your wall. It's time spent in the spring woods has probably been my therapy for 23 years now, ever since I started hunting. And I can't count the number of times I've had my old hind end whooped by a hard-headed gobbler that just seemed to want to do things his way. But to pick a story, I guess I'll go with one that sticks out to me, and it wasn't too awful long ago. Me and my buddy Dean were hunting a bird, and as any good turkey hunter could agree, if you hunt a bird long enough, he kind of earns a nickname. And we had named this turkey the Sandy Point Gobbler, in reference to where he was roosting. This turkey was roosting on the end of a long ridge in some pines and hemlocks, and the end of that ridge had a big bluff that was sandstone, and we dubbed him the Sandy Point Gobbler. And we hunted this bird for the most part of the first April. We hunted him, and we just never could get him to cooperate with us. And we hunted him then and went on and worked and left him to hunt some other birds that spring, and did fairly well with that. But the next spring, we were just about certain he would be there again, and so we did find him, and we hunted him for the better part of the first half of April, and dedicated a lot of time to him. It just seemed like we could never get him to cooperate with us. So one evening, Dean had called and said, let's go in the morning one more time after him. And I was totally against it. I thought, no, we've spent too much time. I was going to go somewhere else where I thought that I could do fairly well on a bird, and so I'd planned on going somewhere else. And that morning I woke up and it was absolutely pouring the rain, and decided not to go, stayed in, and was actually drinking some coffee about, I don't know, say an hour after daylight when Dean called and said, let's go try to get him in this break of rain. So I gave in, and we went out in between rain showers. And I can remember that I was using my granddad's 12 gauge. It was probably the first time in a long time that I hadn't taken old Ralph, my 835. And I just grabbed that gun and said, I'll take this one today. Went out, and lo and behold, we struck him right off the bat as soon as we got into the timber. Of course, hopes weren't high. We knew the rain was moving back in within an hour or two, and we had to work quick. So we set up at the top of a draw, and Dean had set about 20 yards behind me. And down in this draw was a bunch of mountain laurel, and we could hear the turkey gobble, and he was probably 100 yards away. And by this point in the spring, the foliage was pretty good, pretty thick, and so we slipped in there and got pretty close to where we thought he was at. And Dean had done some calling, and he would gobble, and it just seemed like he wouldn't gobble on his own. About 45 minutes goes by, and we're sitting there just getting ready to get up and move when Dean decides to call one more time. And when he did, that turkey fired off 50 yards below us, which was the closest we'd probably been to this turkey. And when he did that, it really fired this turkey up. He started coming up the draw toward us, and I saw him when he came out of the mountain laurel, and he broke out into a strut and would strut back and forth for 5 or 10 minutes. And I thought, man, this bird is not going to cooperate again. So this was probably the first time I'd heard a fighting purr, and Dean was behind me, and he started doing a fighting purr on a slate call. And that was just enough to get this bird's attention to where he wanted to come up the hill. So he started working up toward us in a hurry, and he popped out over right behind a tree. He popped his head out from behind a tree at about 20 paces. And that was the end of that story. Of course, me being the one who killed that bird, Dean does to this day says it was not the Sandy Point gobbler, and according to him, the Sandy Point gobbler is still living and will probably forever live. But so, man, that's just one of the stories that I've been blessed to have and be able to tell. And there's dozens of them, and I can't think of a hunt that I've went on, and with any company that I've went with that I've walked away from that hunt saying, man, that was a bad time. It's never happened. You know, sometimes you just need that. You need to be in the woods, in God's creation, and put your phone up. And sometimes putting your phone up and working old hard-headed gobbler is a reset that you need. So to me, again, it's hard to pick out a single story like that one when there's so many others to tell. But when I think about turkey hunting, I think about conservation for a bird that was nearly extinct not so long ago to it being as flourishing as it is, and the tradition of turkey hunting. You know, if you ask anybody, there are certain things you associate with the spring and gobbling turkeys, whether it be Mossy Oak Camo, whether it be Primo's turkey calls, and you have those names that that all you turkey hunters look up to, whether it be the Colonel Tom Kelly or Will Primos or Fox Hayes. And to me, passing that tradition down to my kids, who are starting to get a love for the outdoors themselves and getting a taste for hunting, it's very special. So that being said, that's just one of the reasons why I still do it. And I'm a turkey hunter, and this is just one of the many stories I have.